This is THV 11 This Morning.
Looking for the men accused of shooting up a Little Rock nightclub. Joining us this morning, we have THV 11's Winnie Wright. She's live with all the details. Good morning, Winnie.
Raven, the rumor mill is circulating about what may have caused this shooting, but for now, all we know is that 17 people were shot here at Power Ultra Lounge in downtown Little Rock. It's just right here behind me. You can still see the police tape. You can see some of the windows were busted out. Now, THV 11 is working really hard to try to get you some video that we have found on Facebook of people recording live from inside the concert as gunshots ran out. We also got the opportunity this morning to speak to Chief Kenton Buckner to get a little bit of insight from his end on what may have caused this awful shooting.
Some sort of dispute broke out between individuals that were inside. An exchange of gunfire took place. We believe that the latest number has approximately 17 individuals that were injured as a result of the gunfire. Also, other individuals were injured.
A lot of people are buzzing that this may have to do with the recent drive-by shootings that have been taking place in both Little Rock and North Little Rock. But of course, police not confirming that this morning. They've still got a lot of investigating to do. And from our end, we're still going to be working hard to try to get you that video to show you what it looked like inside that club when those shots ran out. Live in downtown Little Rock, Winnie Wright, THV 11 News.
All right, thank you so much, Winnie.
This is THV 11 This Morning.
Good morning. We're still learning about a dispute between groups that ended in a shooting overnight at the Power Ultra Lounge in downtown Little Rock. THV 11's Winnie Wright is live this morning with all the details. Good morning, Winnie.
Well, Raven, some interesting things to point out is that we are here. It was a mass shooting. 17 people shot. One person is in critical but stable condition, we're being told at this time. But you look behind me, there is no one really here. You have a few police officers, a few crime scene techs, a lot of media, but you're not seeing people here being treated or checking out the scene and the types of things you would see after gunshots ring out in a club. It's kind of an interesting sight, and we're finding that none of those people wanted to talk to us. None of them wanted to tell us what was going on camera, but they're all buzzing on Facebook. They're all buzzing on Twitter. There's videos being shared, but this is a problem, a systematic problem that Little Rock police have had in the past. They're learning information from social media because those same people also aren't talking to police. We're told that police are having to meet these victims in hospitals all across the city, all across the area, trying to get information that they need. It's really interesting to kind of understand that, because you'd think after a mass shooting it would just be packed out here. Now, I know that the person that was performing, it's a Memphis rapper named Finesse 2 Times. And what we can show you, if we have our photog Chris Ross show you the second floor, all the gunshots happened up there. The concert was apparently taking place up there. And this, unlike the other, 10 or so drive-bys that we've had going on, this was not a drive-by. The gunshots happened, they rang out inside the club. So that means there were guns in the club when the shooting happened. Now, we did get the opportunity this morning to talk to Chief Kenton Buckner to get an idea from him what he thinks is going on and why he says this happened.
Some sort of dispute broke out between individuals that were inside. An exchange of gunfire took place. We believe that the latest number has approximately 17 individuals that were injured as a result of the gunfire. Also, other individuals were injured.
Now, that concert was obviously packed. A lot of people, you can imagine how crazy the pandemonium it must have been to hear shots ring out, and you can't exactly get out. You can't exactly run out of the club, especially when you're on the second floor. But I'm working my sources. I'm trying to get that video for you. I'm trying to find those people that were inside the club to get those eyewitness accounts so they can tell you exactly what happened. But in the meantime, live in downtown Little Rock, Winnie Wright, THV 11 News. Winnie Wright here in downtown Little Rock near the 6th and Louisiana intersection, and this is where a mass shooting took place overnight around 2:30 this morning. Police say shots ran out in the Power Ultra Lounge. You can see it behind me where those upstairs windows are blown out. Apparently, there was a Memphis rapper that was rapping upstairs when the shots ran out. up on the second floor. So that means that there were guns in the nightclub at the time of this shooting. Police say this is not any sort of terroristic incident. They're calling it a disturbance that apparently got out of hand. And I have been able to talk to some of these victims. We have 17 people shot. One is critical, but in stable condition. I've been able to speak with a woman's brother who says that his sister was shot in the side and the bullet is stuck in her back. So I'm currently talking to him right now, trying to get some information from him about what exactly happened. And since the last half hour, we've been able to locate that video, get permission to show you the video from inside the club as the shooting unfolded. You can hear and you can imagine it was just chaos. People are upstairs in that contained second floor area. Shots rang out. If 17 people were shot, you can imagine that's a lot of bullets, nowhere to go. We're imagining that this woman is probably not the only one that was shot in the back. Her brother tells me she's in a lot of pain, but she is stable, and my mother and I are just praying. That's all we can do right now. So we're going to be keeping you up to date with this information throughout the day. I'm going to be trying to locate some of those other witnesses, find out exactly what happened, exactly what caused this to go down. We know that the rapper, his name is Finesse 2 Times. We haven't heard from him. We've heard from police early this morning, but they're working the case, getting us some details, and they're supposed to get back with us later this afternoon. So in the meantime, stay tuned. We'll have all of your updates on THV11 social media, on my social media as well. That's at Winnie Wright TV on Twitter and Winnie Wright on Facebook. But for now, live in downtown Little Rock, Winnie Wright, THV11 News.
Good afternoon. We're going to get you back to the golf, but we've got breaking news continuing to develop in Little Rock right now as we wait for an update from Little Rock Police on a mass shooting at a Little Rock nightclub. And we're going to start with what we know right now. According to police, an exchange of gunfire happened around 2:30 this morning during a concert featuring rapper Finesse 2 Times at Power Ultra Lounge located on 6th Street. 28 people were injured, 25 shot. Some of those shot are juveniles, the youngest 16. There are multiple suspects, but none are in custody yet. The Arkansas Beverage Control Board has suspended the club's license to preserve public health and safety, saying the fact that someone underage was in the club is of great concern. They have scheduled a hearing for the club on July 10th. City and state leaders have been reacting all day. Mayor Mark Stodola. And right now we're going to go live now to the press conference that has been called to get an update. Let's go there now.
Today's order will be as follows. Mayor Stodola is going to talk about the community, followed by Chief Buckner, who's going to talk about the incident. Then we're going to have Greg Thompson with MEMS. He's the Director of Operations. He's going to talk about the transport and the injuries. That'll be followed
there. So we will look at it, and we'll definitely move forward on the building on 6th Street next week.
Thank you all very much for coming.
You've been watching the press conference with Mayor Mark Stodola. We also had Police Chief Kenton Buckner, who did most of the talking, but they both shared that microphone. And for a brief moment, we had City Manager Bruce Moore. They're at the bottom of the steps there at our Little Rock City Hall. They were surrounded by members of the Little Rock City Board of Directors. And here are some takeaways real quickly from what they just said in regards to the shooting last night at a Little Rock nightclub at 2:30 in the morning. 28 people were injured, 25 of them shot, 2 remain in critical condition. And the chief wanted to reassure the public that Little Rock is still safe, that they are safe. The mayor emphasized that they will be shutting down that lounge, the Power Ultra Lounge where the shooting occurred. And the police chief wanted to once again tell us that they don't know yet what they don't know. Means it's early in the investigation. He did not back away from potential gang activity. He said the performer involved has been known to incite violence elsewhere in other cities, and they are taking a look at him. And the victims that were shot in Central Arkansas that remain in the hospital are all Central Arkansas residents. There is so much more to this investigation, obviously, that is being uncovered. We will have more for you tonight, including an interview with Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, and it will also be seen on CBS because this has made national news, and it is a bruise on the city's reputation. Thank you for watching THV 11. We now return you to the golf. Gunshots ripped through a crowded Little Rock nightclub, 25 people shot.
Critical condition on the ventilator, but I have faith in God and I know she will pull through.
The police chief and mayor coming together to try and put a stop to escalating gun violence.
You're going to hear me say the word gang now. We believe that this potentially involved gang activity.
We have dedicated and we continue to rededicate ourselves to what we can do to make the city safe.
And the fallout already being felt as city, state, and community leaders weigh in. We speak live with the state's Attorney General on what's next. Full coverage of the Power Ultra Lounge shooting continues right now.
This is THV 11 News at 6.
An escalating climate of violence condensed into a crowded nightclub, then exploding with dozens of gunshots. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Craig O'Neill. At this hour, more than 24 people are recovering after someone opened fire inside the Ultra Power nightclub in downtown Little Rock. Police say most of those victims were shot. A few others were hurt trying to get out. Police also say everyone is expected to survive. The Power Ultra Lounge is one of the leading venues in the city for hip-hop and rap artists. It's on West 6th, near the corner of Center Street, just 2 blocks from Broadway in the heart of downtown Little Rock. And we have team coverage for you tonight. Winnie Wright has been following this since early this morning when the story broke. Erica Ferrando spoke with victims' family members. Breezeman Perkins has more on the reactions from community leaders. And we begin with Winnie Wright live outside that club.
Craig, rival gangs could be to blame for the horrific scene here outside of Power Ultra Lounge last night. Suspects are being sought. Victims could be becoming suspects. It's leaving everyone on a heightened alert here in Little Rock tonight.
You're going to hear me say the word gang now. We believe that this potentially involved gang activity. I'm not a chief that walks back from that phrase or tries to act as if we don't have that issue because you insult intelligent people when you do that.
Around 2:30 Saturday morning, shots were fired inside the second story of Power Ultra Lounge on 6th Street in downtown Little Rock. In this Facebook Live video from someone inside the club, you can hear Memphis rapper Finesse 2 times, then the shots, and see the chaos. 25 people were shot, 2 are in critical condition, and more were injured. The youngest victim, 16. The club has only one door to get in and out, leaving many desperate to escape.
We think that a couple of the people who were injured, who were gunshot wounds, could have been from them jumping from the window or injured trying to exit that location.
Police had to go to the local hospitals to find the witnesses, victims who'd fled the scene.
You have to get engaged to help us help you, because without information, sometimes we kind of run around chasing our tails.
LRPD's Vice Unit made contact with the club around 12:30 because the venue was known to have problems. Power had off-duty police officers working the parking lot from 11 to 2 and had an encounter with one of the possible shooters.
Shortly before they left for their 2 a.m. exit time, some members with the headliner group for the entertainment attempted to enter the venue, one of which who was openly carrying a weapon. Our officers engaged that individual, attempted to stop that individual, but it appears that some of the individuals went to an alternate entry into this location and actually gained access into the venue.
Shots were fired into a crowded room with nowhere to go, and somehow, some way, no one has died.
Because God wasn't ready for those individuals. The second part is I would tell you that we had professional people responding to that incident, and they did what they were trained to do, and I know that they probably had something to do with the fact that we didn't have any fatalities.
Here are some things to know as the sun sets over Little Rock tonight. Police are searching for multiple suspects. The headlining rapper Finesse 2 Times, also known as Ricky Hampton, has warrants out of Forest City, as did quite a few members of his crew. Also, police say there is a lot of investigative work to be done before we find out exactly what happened last night here at Power Ultra Lounge. Craig, back to you.
All right, Winnie, thank you. Other items we know from this investigation so far: the Ultra Power Lounge is losing its liquor license. The Alcohol Beverage Control Board scheduled a hearing for permit holder Herman Lewis. It's going to happen on July 10th. The city has started eviction proceedings as well. A special deputy is being appointed under prosecuting attorney Larry Jagley, and the feds are being called in. The Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms had special agents on scene to help Little Rock police with the investigation. Victims went to hospitals across the city and the metro area. And THV 11's Erica Ferrando is live after speaking with the family of one of the victims this afternoon. Erica?
Inside hospitals across central Arkansas, victims are fighting for their lives and working to recover. I spoke with the family of one of the 25 victims shot, and I spoke with one woman who was inside at the time.
We pray that you continue to bless, oh God.
This isn't the first prayer for this family Saturday, fighting for the life of one of the victims.
All day we pray.
In critical condition, 19-year-old Dejana Mixon is one of 25 shot in Power Ultra Lounge.
Critical condition on the ventilator, but I have faith in God and I know she will pull through.
Her mother, Renee Dominic, says her family's support helps keep her faith strong.
Whoever pick up guns, they have to think about, what if it was your family member?
God's going to heal this. He's going to make it better.
Dejana's stepdad, James Dominic, says she's enlisted in the Army.
Dejana is a loving, caring child, and this right here, she didn't deserve this.
Before you knew it, we just heard gunshots, about 15, 20. And we dug down on the floor.
The sounds of these shots are still fresh for Kiana Bogan, who is recovering from a hurt foot.
We heard another round of gunshots, and we were tumbling down the stairs trying to get out the door.
She says before the shots, groups were arguing. Then
everybody running and screaming and help me, and I can't find this person. It was sad and scary. Like, I never thought I'd have to go through something like that.
Those affected by this shooting the most say violence in the city has to stop.
Tragedy thing that happened, and I pray for the people who done it. Just hope God have mercy on them.
Whatever type of gun that was should not have been in the club, period, point blank.
There will be a prayer vigil tonight on the steps of City Hall. That's set for 8:15. Live in Little Rock, I'm Erica Ferrando, THV 11 News.
All right, Erica, this shooting is a convergence of two hot-button issues: rising gang violence and shootings in public places. THV 11's Breezeman Perkins has more on how local political leaders are reacting tonight.
Craig, the city of Little Rock is trending on Twitter and other social media outlets today for what most would say are all the wrong reasons. Mayor Mark Stodola and other officials are ringing their bells. Stodola says his heart is broken, and Governor Asa Hutchinson says it's time to go after those taking life into their own hands.
On a 4th of July weekend where we wish to anticipate having fun with our friends and family, this is certainly a terrible, terrible tragedy.
The reputation of the state's capital city on the line.
We must do more to keep guns out of the hands of the wrong people.
Last night's mass shooting at Power Ultra Lounge joins a string of recent violence in Little Rock.
I have talked to Mayor Stodola, offered additional state assistance in order to go after this increasing violence in Little Rock area.
The state's top leaders chimed in throughout the day, including Governor Asa Hutchinson. He's urging the issue to be addressed and calls the shooting unacceptable.
Whenever you look at the gang-related violence, whenever that has to be attacked in a very coordinated way with federal resources as well as the state and local law enforcement.
The governor says responsibility falls on local law enforcement, but this issue has gotten more complex than local resources can handle. The state's members of Congress have also issued statements. Senator Tom Cotton and John Bozeman sent thoughts and prayers. Cotton says, "I appreciate the quick action of Little Rock police in response to last night's shooting. My prayers are with all involved. While Bozeman adds, Kathy and I send our prayers to the victims of this tragic violence. I continue to stand and support our local law enforcement to fight this ongoing reckless violence in our capital city.
Governor Hutchinson also says this tragedy must be approached differently. At this point, it's not a matter of laws, but a matter of law enforcement.
And joining me now is Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, who has graciously accepted our invitation to come on. I know you were just telling me you've been busy all day with this.
Well, we have been monitoring. I've spoken to Mayor Mark Stodola, Chief Kenton Buckner about the situation, getting information from them. They're making certain that they know that the resources at the Attorney General's office are available, that we'll all be working together, state, local, as well as federal law enforcement on this incident today. And this, tragedy really. It's tragedy in the sense that it occurred right here in Little Rock, in our hometown. But it's also, we're very fortunate for the first responders who were on the scene to keep this from having been an enormous tragedy.
We promised this in the lead into the show to ask you this. What happens next? What happens now? Where do we go from here?
Well, Craig, now I believe it's time for community members and community leaders to work with law enforcement, at the local, state, federal level, to all sit down at the table to start addressing the rising crime that we have seen here in Arkansas's capital city. And we have a violence reduction network in which my office sits in part of. That's a pilot program in Little Rock as well as West Memphis, talking about these sort of issues. But we must have community leaders, whether they're speaking on their Facebook post or speaking from the pulpit tomorrow, to remind Arkansans to love one another, that we don't need to resort to violence to handle our disputes, to have civil discourse, and to shut down the sort of violence that we see. Just like the key entertainer that was coming in last night. That sort of promoted violence, that we need to shut that down.
Now, guns are going to be at the center of this again. Your response to that?
That guns will be at the center of violence. We need to ensure that guns are not in the hands of convicted felons and other criminals who unfortunately have been obtaining guns through breaking or entering someone's home, obtaining guns illegally. We have laws on the books. We need to enforce the laws that are on the books, Craig.
All right, Leslie, again, thank you for coming in. Attorney General Leslie Rutledge on what has been a very violent day. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we will keep you on top of this story throughout the evening, including going to that prayer vigil for the victims. And remember to get the latest information anytime you need it at thv11.com.
My heart is broken, and was broken again this morning when I woke up and heard the news about the mass shooting at the Ultra Power Lounge.
City leaders reeling after a gunman opens fire inside a crowded Little Rock nightclub.
We must do more to keep guns out of the hands of the wrong people, and government can do something to help us with that.
Politicians respond as the shooting caps a violent month.
From you, our God, for Little Rock tonight is a river city of tears.
And prayers asked and answered. We have the latest on the recovering victims as the search for suspects goes on.
This is THV 11 News at 10.
An escalating climate of violence condensed into a crowded nightclub, then exploding with dozens of gunshots. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Craig O'Neill. At this hour, more than 24 people are recovering after someone opened fire inside the Ultra Power nightclub in downtown Little Rock. Police say most of those victims were shot. A few others were hurt trying to get out. Police also say everyone is expected to survive. The Power Ultra Lounge is one of the leading venues in the city for hip-hop and rap artists. It's on West 6th, near the corner of Center Street, just 2 blocks from Broadway in the heart of downtown Little Rock. Rival gangs could be to blame, and tonight police are scrambling for suspects. As THV 11's Winnie Wright found out, victims could become suspects, and that's leaving everyone on heightened alert tonight in Little Rock.
You're going to hear me say the word gang now. We believe that this potentially involved gang activity. I'm not a chief that walks back from that phrase or tries to act as if we don't have that issue because you insult intelligent people when you do that.
Around 2:30 Saturday morning, shots were fired inside the second story of Power Ultra Lounge on 6th Street in downtown Little Rock. In this Facebook Live video from someone inside the club, you can hear Memphis rapper Finesse 2 times, then the shots, and see the chaos. 25 people were shot, 2 are in critical condition, and more were injured. The youngest victim, 16. The club has only one door to get in and out, leaving many desperate to escape.
We think that a couple of the people who were injured, who were gunshot wounds, could have been from them jumping from the window or injured trying to exit that location.
Police had to go to the local hospitals to find the witnesses, victims who'd fled the scene.
You have to get engaged to help us help you, because without information, sometimes we kind of run around chasing our tails.
LRPD's Vice Unit made contact with the club around 12:30 because the venue was known to have problems. Power had off-duty police officers working the parking lot from 11 to 2 and had an encounter with one of the possible shooters.
Shortly before they left for their 2 a.m. exit time, some members with the headliner group for the entertainment attempted to enter the venue, one of which who was openly carrying a weapon. Our officers engaged that individual, attempted to stop that individual, but it appears that some of the individuals went to an alternate entry into this location and actually gained access into the venue.
Shots were fired into a crowded room with nowhere to go, and somehow, some way, no one has died.
Because God wasn't ready for those individuals. The second part is I would tell you that we had professional people responding to that incident, and they did what they were trained to do, and I know that they probably had something to do with the fact that we didn't have any fatalities.